Hello.
Hello.
This is cool. I like all of the stuff ahead of time. I always struggle with, actually I'm struggling with that in my Cyberpunk game in Sync. Like how much culture and building do you do ahead of time, because you're like literally developing, like culture is what the story is about. So like...
Yeah. Fall of Magic was like, I try to make that as short as fucking possible.
Yeah.
And I tried to do that with City of Winter, and I just... now it takes an hour.
I mean, an hour for character creation, relationships, and culture building is actually pretty short.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Well, ready to do some scenes?
Yes.
All right.
So Chase and I are siblings. Well, I guess both Vale and Zeal are my kids, because I found Zeal along the river.
Yeah.
I'm Chase, she, her. Grew up very close with Azure, kind of like siblings, but not actual siblings. I defended them a lot while we were growing up, mainly around like people who thought they were weird. I, for some reason that we don't quite understand yet, had a very close like caregiving relationship with Vale, and am completely reviled by Zeal, which I'm looking forward to understanding more as the game goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I was found by Azure along the riverbank, but like not in like a messianic way, or just one of those regular like found by the riverbank situations. I'm rivals with Vale, in the scene of competitive fishing. I revile Chase. I don't really know why. I mean, nobody really likes Chase, but no, just
Wow.
Fair.
I do.
Yeah, that's it.
There's a lot of Indian mythology around children getting lost along rivers, and cobras raising them as their kids. And like cobras are just like these gift-giving caregivers that will cool. like give you treasure and gold and all this stuff, as long as you come back and like take care of them or protect them.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My cobra.
Yeah.
You're my cobra.
And Vale.
Yeah, so I'm Vale. I'm a Heron of Rivertown, born and raised. Rival of Zeal. Man, that kid is so good. But I'm gonna do better. One day people will see, I mean, talent isn't like a substitution for the many years of honed skill and expertise and knowledge. I don't know, one day Zeal's luck's gonna run out and I'm gonna be there to laugh. I was born of Azure. They're my parent, and I love them very much. And Chase is also my caregiver, just definitely like a mother to me. And I'm a youth, I'm one of the golden generation of Rivertown. Never known hardship until this Umbra stuff started happening. Fantastic. So we have a little bit of an idea about who our characters are. So on your turn, you move your token to one of the scenes at your current home and play a tradition. Then you're going to describe that scene from your character's perspective. As you do, the rest of us will listen, ask questions, offer suggestions. Also like feel free to like play your own character, or if it's your turn, you may choose to like cast somebody else, as another character in the scene. When you're ready, pass the turn, and then either keep, gift, or discard the tradition card used in the scene. That's how this game is played. I would like someone to, maybe the eldest or one of us, to take all of our tokens and place them on Rivertown and describe to us, from the perspective of the family, Rivertown and our home here.
When Rata first brought Chase from Cloud Village to Rivertown, I think this was when Chase was very young, like 5, and it's a long kind of trip down. Rata had spoken about Rivertown, about this land where you never had to worry about where food was coming from, where instead of wind, water swept through the village, and Chase never really believed them, right, while she was growing up. And this long trip along the river, like imagining what it would be like, and kind of like imagining these like weird clustered houses like Cloud Village, like somehow misshapenly placed around a river. It felt really, really wrong. And when she got to Rivertown and saw it, it's like spread out, small, hatched kind of houses. Just couldn't believe that something like this could exist. It felt wrong. And the way that people walked and like behaved seemed wrong. She was used to kind of being stern. She had like a coat that she was still wearing because she was never used to not wearing a coat. And everyone was out there playing and singing and doing all these things. And I think the very last thing on this like first entry scene we see of Rivertown when Chase first comes with Rata is a little child kind of like weaving by the river as it's going, like quite fast, right? And it's Azure. Like, I don't know what your weaving looks like, Azure, but I'd love for like you to be there and for you to be one of the first people that Chase sees when she comes in. What does the weaving look like when you're doing that?
Sure. The weaving, I think Azure is sitting next to Corin, who is their ward and is also weaving by the river. And they have those handheld weaving things where like one end is tied up to a tree and the other is like kind of in their lap, and they're using the weight of the tree to pull down. Probably in like blue and gray and gold colors. And it's very patterned, but you can't see from a distance what the pattern is. But it's like a sun and a river and a heron and a fish and reeds and stuff like that.
And I don't think you ever noticed this. I don't think Chase ever tells you this, but like this is the first time Chase has seen like colors like this and fabrics like this. And so as Rata and the rest of the caravan keeps going on into Rivertown, she just stands by like one of the tall trees at the entrance and just watches for like half an hour, just silently standing. Yeah, that's I think where we'll stop that.
Yeah. Cool. Fantastic. Anyone can go next. Cool. I'm going to play this tradition card with Grand's tool chest. So the River Mill is the largest building in all of Rivertown. You know, in times past, there was a very successful milling industry that happened in Rivertown, where people, you know, were harnessing the river. There's like all these like worker owned co-ops, you know, in the farm, you know, that kind of like farm the valley, and everyone kind of comes together and brings their harvests and like once a season we like kind of dust out and clean out the river mill and bring all the harvests in. I think that's what's happening right now, and we can see many people of Rivertown, you just like families are coming and all the adults are busy processing the harvest, you know, so that we have plenty of grain and flour to get us through the winter. And the kids in town love, you know, when milling season happens, because the adults, they're so busy working that they don't really have time to watch us. So we just get to do all the fishing that we want and all the fucking around that we want right now. So I think, you know, the adults, you know, perhaps Azure included, are you know, in this process kind of wrapped up with it. And it's cool. Like people are like kind of cooking. It's like a big potluck. It's very festive. There's music playing. You know, there's a lot of laughter, people kind of catching up with relatives on the far side of the valley that they haven't seen in a while. Yeah, and I'm sitting, you know, just kind of with my feet dangling, sitting on the kind of muddy banks of the river, with you know, my boy Zeal, who's fishing, and I'm just kind of shaking my head, and I'm just like, Zeal, I don't even know what you're doing here. You're not going to catch any fish this late in the day. You got to get out before the sun rises. I told you.
Yeah, Zeal's kind of just like, unbothered, just sort of like staring in that like unfocused way at the water passing by. And he says kind of finally, yeah, what am I gonna do? There's no fish. How will people know I'm better than you?
How will they know? Well, I mean, I think all they'd have to do is look up and see all the trophies that you've won. You know, in the hall, the fishing hall. I don't know. I think we have like there's some fishing cabin or something, some like rustic cabin where they have like a big fishing competition. And even though Zeal's just a kid, you know, he won last year. Like your name is kind of like last on the plaque because you won last year. Everyone writes their own name, and you can barely write because you're so young. And so there's like kind of like all of this like kind of cursive script of people that have inscribed their name on this. It's pretty rustic. It's this big plank that's kind of been nailed in there, and they just kind of toss a new one up every once in a while when the old one fills up, and you just kind of scratch your name on it with a fishing hook. All these like well-renowned, you know, fishers of the river valley, and then at the bottom you just see Zeal. It's like not even spelled properly.
It's like really big and kind of like it like scratches over a couple of the other names like above it by like doing like, big loops.
Disrespectful. Yeah, I just kind of like shake my head a little bit, and then all of a sudden I think there's this like big tug on your pole, like something really big's gotten a bite of it, and it kind of catches you by surprise, like how strong the pull is.
Yeah, I like go like skidding towards the wall.
I'm like, oh crap! And you got it?
I think so. Eventually I get to like one of the boulders that's like right next to where the water is, and I've just sort of like anchored like my butt on it. But like you can see like the tension is like really bending the pole.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at it and I'm like, you're gonna break the pole! You're gonna break the pole!
Yeah, I need you to help me out here. No, well, that's the terminology.
What'd you say?
Tug!
I'm in a tug?
Yeah.
Cool. So I run over and I pull my knife because I'm gonna cut the string.
Don't cut it! Give me the tug! I got it!
And I just like look and I like, if we break, all right. And I put my knife away and I like grab onto the pole also with you, and we're both pulling together. Are we able to pull it out, or does the bow break first? Does the pole break first?
The pole breaks.
Great, yeah, snaps, clean in half, and we just go tumbling in a pile on the ground. And I'm furious. I'm just like, I told you, Zeal. I told you it was going to break. You should have let me cut the line.
If only I was a better tugger.
Azur's going to be pissed. That was Chase's pole.
I'll just borrow a pole from one of the old timers.
No.
They love me. They're like, Zeal, we love you because you represent our youth.
Just give it to me.
Okay, fine.
And I like take the pole from you, and I'm like walk along the banks until like somewhere down there I find the other end of it. I go back to our wagon, you know, where we've got our own share of the harvest that's being processed. I pull Grann's tool chest out of the back of the wagon. It's this old wooden box that's just ornately carved with Heron symbols on it. It's beautiful, like kind of wood burned and carved. And I open it up and it's just like meticulously laid out all of these, just like tiny saws and screwdrivers and little wrenches and little binding tools and stuff like that. And I know that like Azure would be super pissed if like anything goes missing. So I'm always really careful whenever I take out Grann's tool chest, and I really carefully like put on some wood glue and bind the pole back together and wrap it up to set.
I guess is Magrann Corin?
Sure, sounds great. Yeah, and you open up and there's like a it says Corin, on the inside of the lid. Great, scene. I'm gonna hang on to this. I'm gonna hang on to this card. So
What's the difference if you hang on to it or get rid of it? Is it just because you like it?
The traditions that are that we hold on to are things that we can bring with us to when we migrate, and the things that are the things that we don't hold on to are things that we may lose.
Okay, so seeing us at the 1,000 Acre Woods and a Song of the Riverland. I think there's like so the 1,000 Acre Woods is mossy kind of rainforest type place, but also like the river like flows through it, and it kind of like gets really intense at parts, and kind of that's where like some of the like competitive like fishing happens. So I think that like Zeal and Vale and Chase, it's like by like this river where there's like lots of boulders, and then like it gets like fairly wide, and then there's like these little rafty things that are like tied to like the shore, and then you're supposed to like stand and like balance on like the rafty thing, and then like fish from like the middle of the river, like as it's like going.
Did you mean Azure is there, or is this like a scene in the past? Because Chase is gone, remember?
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, Azure. I meant sorry. Zeal and Vale are like competing, but there's also like other people, you know. There's like this background music that's like this like melodic like fantasy power metal kind of thing. So it's like ding, 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 and then like it like the camera cuts back and forth between like Zeal and like Vale and like some other competitors like pulling on their line, and like that's like when the solos are playing, you know. So it's like ding, 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 ding. And then, you know, there's the shots of just like the old guys like falling into the water off of the rafts and stuff.
So wait, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Are these rafts tied to anything, or are we like...
Yeah, they're tied to the...
Okay, I thought like that maybe we were like kind of on these rafts that were going down the river while we were trying to catch stuff.
Sounds amazing too, but...
Yeah.
Because there's like an audience that's like on the riverbanks, and like the rafts are like tied to like boulders.
Okay, great.
Giant boulders that are next to it.
What instruments are these? Like in-universe instruments?
Are these diegetic instruments? Or?
Yeah, I think there's like a band that's like playing like I don't know, like medievally looking like instruments.
Okay, cool. So it's like a Postman style where there's like kind of like modern-ish music, but it's being played with diegetic instruments.
Diegetic. What is that, diegetic?
Oh, diegetic is an awesome word that I learned recently from some LARP academics. It just means when something exists within the fiction, it's borrowed from film critique. So diegetic music would be in a film would be music that's being played like on the radio, as opposed to like the soundtrack. So I wasn't sure if you were if this was soundtrack or if this was a band that's actually present. That sounds like
I mean it's exactly as you described it. It's like modern, like
nice.
electric guitars, but yeah. And I think Azure is like in the audience. Like most of the people in the audience are just like they're like screaming a lot. Although you can't like hear them screaming, but you can kind of like the camera just sort of like focuses on their like distorted like screaming faces.
This feels like very sorry. This is an Olympia thing. This feels very like Tumwater, Thurston County right now. Like people like drinking and like
yeah, totally. It is. It's absolutely.
It's like going swimming at the quarry in Olympia. Right?
Azure, what is your? Are you also kind of screaming in an undignified manner, or
what are you doing here?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think Azure is in the audience, and actually is like treating someone's leg wound as they like fell into a rock, you know, off of one of these rafts.
Yeah.
And is like anxiously watching her children or their children. Like
I like medic.
Is that Zeph?
That is the one who
got injured?
Is getting treated.
Oh, you've made an NPC. Yes.
If you want to hear from Zeph, I'm happy to be belligerent, drunken person with a broken leg as well.
I'm fine. Let me go back out. I've still got plenty of time to catch some fish.
I'm 3 days behind. I gotta get back out there. Yeah.
And Azure is like talking him down, I guess. You're talking her down. I don't know.
Just let me back. I'll be fine. Yeah. I can't lose that damn kid again.
Back to Zeal.
The champion.
Balls now. It's like guitar solo going.
Oh.
Just like wait for one, and then you drop the other and reel it in.
No,
It's the solo reach.
It's a hefty penalty for two of them.
Oh God.
Okay.
Double pulling.
I think that can be a scene.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. That was lovely.
And perhaps the themes of the Song of the Riverland can return. Let's see. So this card goes to somebody?
You can discard it, you can keep it in your hand, or you can give it to somebody.
Here, Chase. You can have the Song of the Riverland.
Cool.
It really shreds. I'm gonna put it on a mixtape for you. There you go.